Hey guys, as promised, this is my full breakdown of The Mandalorian. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I do want to say that I was getting kind of a space western type of feel. Like if you took John Wayne and Star Wars and mashed it together. That's what I was kind of getting from the whole vibe of the movie, as well as the impression I was getting from the music. As far as The Mandalorian goes, he's a very cool, very hardened, and just overall, he's just amazing, I think. So the first episode starts with these two criminals that are thugs, and they're picking on this guy who is eventually a bounty for the Mandalorian to take. So long story short, the Mandalorian comes into the cantina, the thugs pick on him and say that he made me spill my drink, and when of course he didn't, he just, he wipes him out, takes him out, no problem, and it was pretty dark. It was pretty gruesome. Like, the dude gets sawed in half, and it was pretty cool in my opinion. He then throws the puck on a table, and then, he emits a hologram of the dude's head, who he has to take in. So he takes him in. He asks him he could do it hot or cold. He eventually agrees to go with him alive. And as far as the whole ice scene, there's a lot of cool CGI going on with it and everything there. There's also this big walrus sea monster thing that comes out of the ice and jumps out and tries to attack the Mandalorian ship. The Mandalorian then grabs his gun and electrocutes him, and eventually the sea monster lets go. Then the Mandalorian travels to the man who is Carl Weathers' character and gives him the bounty of all these bounties he's collected and basically puts him in frozen carbonite. And it's at this point that we get a flashback to episode 5, which was really cool. Now, Carl Weathers' character is named Grief Karga, and he gives him a bunch of lame bounties, and the Mandalorian doesn't want them. He tells him that the price for these bounties won't even pay for fuel these days. So he then says, I got a bigger bounty for you. However, there's no tracking number, there's no way to track it. They don't even really know what they look like or who it is. Just more of a face-to-face kind of thing. There's also no puck for it that gives you a hologram of what they look like or anything really about it. So he then goes to meet the guy, goes through this door, and it's a big flashback to Jabba's palace and Return of the Jedi type of deal. You basically see what's his name? You basically see Malicious Crumb, that really annoying laughing thing. You see him on a spigot roasting around, and you see his another one in a cage who's looking in fear, oh my gosh. He then enters this room where there are 4 really weathered, really old looking stormtroopers, and you can tell looking that their armor is really old, which makes sense because this is after Darth Vader died and the Emperor died, so the Empire is starting to crumble. So naturally their armor would be old. And when he enters his room, there's this guy sitting behind a table of these 4 stormtroopers, and a scientist walks in. Now the scientist, his name is Dr. Parsing, and his enthusiasm outweighs his discretion. So the guy behind the table, played by the German director Werner Herzog, says that there's this crazy bounty and that he needs the Mandalorian to complete it. And he basically tells him that he can't really give him anything except for a tracking fob and the last known location of where they were located. As you can tell, a tracking fob for a galaxy the size of Star Wars isn't really going to be much help. And he tells him if your skills are true, then a man of your status should make easy work of this. And he tells them he wants the bounty alive. However, if it's dead, they'll offer a much smaller reward. And the reward for him is Beskar. Beskar is a very, very rare metal that only Mandalorians used. Now, before the Jedi purged, the Mandalorians had entitlement to their metal. The metal was very resistant to blasters and even lightsabers at time. And it was a very rare metal, very expensive. And I'm sure it could be worth a lot to the Mandalorians, especially the Mandalorian here. So he tells them, basically, I'm going to give you crate upon crate of this stuff. And he also says that Beskar belongs back in the hands of the Mandalorians, so it's good to restore the natural order of things in a period of such disarray. So he then goes into this underground area where you see above this door the Mandalorian logo. And he meets this blacksmith. It's this woman. I'm assuming she's a woman because her armor is more female-esque. He gives her the Beskar and she forges a shoulder plate for him. Now, while this armor is being made, we actually get a bunch of flashbacks from when he was a child, and it turns out he was actually a foundling. And we see glimpses of the actual Clone Wars. And we see the Separatist droids, the super battle droid from the trailer, and his parents actually hide him somewhere in the town when the droids were destroying everything, killing everyone. So that is his origin story. That's where he's from. He was a child. He was a little boy during the Clone Wars. With his new shoulder plate, he flies to the planet, which looks like Tatooine. I could be wrong, but I actually think it's Ryloth. To me, it looks like Ryloth. We actually see the beast from the Clone Wars TV show on Ryloth. Now, this beast is called a blurg. Now, it's kind of a weird looking type of species. However, there's a cool story to them. They're all female because during mating season, they eat all the males. So there's no males left apparently, or at least the ones that mated, they're gone, they're dead. We go through this bit of a quest where the Mandalorian has to try and ride it. So they then basically ride to the facility where the bounty is. And the little guy who helped the Mandalorian try and ride the beast and try to, and he told him where the facility are. The Mandalorian asks him, "Why are you helping me?" And the guy says, "I've never met a Mandalorian before. So if the stories are true, then you should have no problem with this." And he also says that ever since these guys came here, ever since this bounty was here or whatever, this thing that you're trying to get, there has been absolute unrest in this territory. People came here to find peace, and now they can't find peace because of these people that are here. So the Mandalorian looks over this ridge, and he sees all these guys, and he also sees IG-11, who is a droid bounty hunter, much like IG-88, and he just goes wreaking havoc. Like, he's absolutely insane. He starts twisting, turning, shooting everyone, like we see in the trailer, but blaster bolts are flying around everywhere. He's getting shot at also. He's just taking out dudes. It was absolutely insane. And it was after this that the Mandalorian meets up with him. So they eventually team up to take out these guys and collect the bounty, agreeing to split it halfway. And it's at this point where they eventually get cornered. And eventually this turret also comes in, aiming at them, shooting at them. And IG-11 was essentially the comedic effect in this first episode. I guess it's against his programming to get taken away. So he has this bomb in his chest and he's activating self-destruct, and the Mandalorian's like, "No, quit it, stop." And the Mandalorian has an idea to draw their fire, so IG-11 goes out and starts drawing their fire away, where he gets shot into this little area in the corner, but eventually he's okay. He runs diagnostics or something, and he says that the shot didn't affect his main wiring or something. So they eventually take out these dudes. The Mandalorian gets on the turret, and he starts like twisting on like, it was absolutely insane. And when they get done taking care of all the guys, they see the door and they can't get in it. And they have this idea to use the turret. And the scene transitions to inside the building, and you see shots going around it, and the door just falls, and they walk in. And when they walk in, it's just a bunch of stuff around everywhere, but they see this orb capsule looking thing, and the Mandalorian walks over to it, clicks in, and opens up to like a half moon shape. The thing, ultimately, when it opens up, it looks kind of like a crib for like a baby. But during the briefing, the Mandalorian was told that the person was 50 years old. And IG-11 says that, some species age at different rates. Some could age for centuries. And IG-11 then grabs his gun, aims for the thing, and the scene transitions to the Mandalorian's helmet, and we hear a gunshot. And IG-11 just falls to the ground. And the thing that we see inside the crib was actually Yoda's species. And apparently 50 years old is still an infant for Yoda's species. But the thing that I think is really cool is that we really don't know too much about Yoda's species. The only other member that we know of in canon that's a member of Yoda's species is Yaddle from the prequels. But hopefully you got something out of this breakdown, and hopefully that we learn more about Yoda's species going forward in the next episodes. And you can expect reviews and breakdowns of those ones as well. The next episode comes out in just a couple of days, and if you live in Europe, that sucks to be you, I'm sorry. Get a VPN, I don't know. I want to know what you thought of the first episode in the comments down below. And if you want to see more content relating to Star Wars and The Mandalorian, then subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one.